Okay, so in this module, I'm going to show you what a very simple single level emboss can look like. And this is the outcome that we're going to be going for. I'm going to try to reflect this in the light a little bit so you can see. It's this wavy border around the edge of the paper. And these are what the plates look like that we will be printing on. So you might notice that these plates look pretty different from most of your foil dies. And that's because they are. When you have a super simple design like this, you can actually print without heat on your foil press and use cheaper plastic plates because of it. So this is just something I wanted to show you guys as an option because I think it's not as well known and can be really awesome for someone that's maybe more on a budget or just getting started with this and wants to play around. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Just one note on this. This is not meant for super fine detail designs. This method is really meant for something very simple and one line, maybe just one border or two lines, nothing super. Okay, so let's first look at the design in Illustrator so I can walk you through plates. This is going to be almost exactly how you would order your foil dies. So I'm going to go ahead and select my design and I'm going to copy this into just a fresh new artboard without all my other elements here so that I can send it to the plate maker. So I'm going to copy that, Command C, and I'm going to start a new file and I'm going to paste it in here. And then I'm just going to change my color to 100% black, which is also what you do for foil dies. Oops, I missed my Y. And it looks like I had set an opacity on it, so you can see right here. I'm going to make that 100%. And this is pretty much it. This is all I'm going to do and send to my plate maker. So I'll save this file and I'll email it over to my plate maker. You do not have to worry about creating the male-female counterparts. They will handle all of that for you. So in the next lesson, I'm going to walk you through exactly the steps and what to send your plate maker so that you can get the right plates made. I just want to note that if you are based in the US, I'm going to be sharing the company that I use. It's called Concord Engraving. However, I know a lot of you probably aren't in the US, so simply just emailing your plate maker with the information outlined in the next video and asking them for help and recommendations should get you the same result, as well as asking other printers in your area who they might use for their letterpress plates will also help you find someone in your area that will help you. Okay, so once you have your design ready and saved and you're ready to order, you can simply email your letterpress plate maker with your design and request for these things. So the first is to request for photopolymer embossing plates. This tells them that they're going to need that male and female plate. Also, photopolymer tells them that they're both plastic. That's kind of what photopolymer means if you're not in the letterpress world. We aren't playing with heat here, so this example will be a lot cheaper, which is why I'm showing you it. And I personally use the type of photopolymer plates that I use is called KSF3 with Concord Engraving, my plate making company. Your plate maker might recommend or use different plate types, and I would definitely lean on their guidance and trust them if they do so. And again, I'm going to copy all of this information below this video so that you'll be able to see it written out, copy and pasted exactly what you need to ask for, because I know it's kind of technical and really you don't need to understand the technical aspect of it. You just need to know what to ask for. So then for the next point is you want to just ask them for their recommendation on adding the stroke weight. So when you have your male and female plates, the female gets a tiny little stroke added around the entire area of the design. That's so that when they overlay, they fit inside each other. So your plate maker will do that for you. They will add that tiny little stroke around your design to make sure that they fit together nicely when they print. So you can just let them handle that and recommend what they think will look best. And you can also, if you are doing something cheap like this and just want to test it out, you can just order a corner first, which would be super cheap, like 20 bucks. I don't know if that's exact, maybe 20 to 30 bucks. You could just order a corner to test out with the stroke, whatever stroke they recommend, just to make sure that it looks right and is good. I think the biggest problem that can happen is if the stroke isn't big enough, then they're not going to fit together snugly. But sometimes if your design is the details are too close to each other, the lines are too tight, making the stroke too big would make things bleed together a little bit, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would email the exact design to your plate maker and just tell them, what do you recommend for the stroke weight? And then the last point here is just let them guide you on any technical decisions. Especially if you're new to this, they'll probably have recommendations and thoughts, and just trust your plate maker. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's really important. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mock this up, or lock this up on the chase here. So I have my 2 plates here. The female is pretty much always going to go on this side, and that is my steel-backed plate. We have my letterpress plate here. The first thing that I want to do is I want to line the 2 plates up together. So like you can kind of just feel it with these letterpress plates because they're a little thinner. If you kind of move it around, you'll kind of feel when it locks into place a little bit. And then you can go about this a couple different ways. You can tape the 2 together like just very smallly on the edge. I personally like to just put a little tape in the middle, like old school style, like grab some tape and create a little loop-de-loop. I just put it in the middle, and then I kind of do the same thing. I kind of move it around to find that little rivet where they fit in together. And if you kind of just wiggle it back and forth, you can feel if it's together or not. So that is good. They're stuck together pretty well. Now on my steel-backed plate, I want to mount it to my chase here. And what you'll do for this is, or what I use, is double-sided tape. You can get this on Amazon. I will link it for you as well. It is pretty strong. I even use it when I use 16 gauge plates and heat, but for this specifically, because we're not using heat on the press, you don't really need to, like, it's not going to fall off as easily as it will with heat. A lot of times with heat, like, the tape can start to get a little melty and then like slide off. That won't be a problem because we're not working with heat. So I've added 2 strips of my double-sided tape here, and I'm going to ahead and peel those off so that you'll see, if you can see very well, but there's the double-sided tape is on there. It's also super thin, this double-sided tape, which is great for this use or any foil die. Obviously you don't want to put the tape behind where your design is. Put it on the edge, or you could even put one in the middle if you wanted, but and then I'm just going to center this as best I can. It's kind of off center, but okay, so that's on there pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this into the press and show you the next step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and slide this in. It has my plate mocked up on it. Remember, do not turn on your press. If you use heat for this specific example, you will melt your plates and it will not be pretty. We are just using the press and no heat at all. Don't even turn it on. What was I going to say? If you notice that my press is dirty, please don't judge me. It works great. I've had it for a long time. Okay, so this plate that is the mail plate, that's the letterpress photopolymer plate. They come with this adhesive backing, this little blue piece of paper that peels off and it's sticky. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to pretend I'm pulling a print and transfer it to my plate bed. However, I want to use packing for this print. So I'm going to show you how I like to use packing in this instance. It's kind of a replica of what I do for letterpress, and it's just what I have found through letterpress I prefer, and maybe that's just because I originally learned how to print with letterpress, so I kind of just follow those same fundamentals throughout. But basically I have this sort of plastic sheet of acetate. You can kind of use, you can find this at like any like art supply store. I get this sheet actually with my letterpress plates. They like use it to protect the plate in the mail, so I just save them and repurpose them. And if you do order letterpress from your plate maker, you might get something similar you can use as well. You just want to make sure it's a little bit bigger than your design so that you have enough room. And I'm going to go ahead and mock this up, or I'm going to go ahead and tape this down onto my plate base. And the goal is basically, I'm going to leave this top side open so that I can slide sheets of packing underneath it. So sometimes I will just put it in place with a couple of pieces of painter's tape, and then I'll really reinforce it with the masking tape, or duct tape afterwards, because you do want to make sure it's not like, you know, doing anything like that. You want to make sure it's nice and flush, or else you'll get some weird effects. Okay, so tape it down and then grab something a little bit more permanent. I just use duct tape. And basically you're going to add tape to the 3 other sides. That wasn't very graceful, but there's that side. And if I was setting this up on my letterpress where I use the same packing template for months and months and months, I would probably use like longer sheets of duct tape and really like get every edge. But right now, this is just for one job, and then I'm gonna take it off, so I don't really need to do all of that. Okay, so now you can see I have this sides taped down. Before I show you what packing paper and how to add that in there, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer my plate down and make sure that looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this adhesive. I have a feeling, because I printed 1/4" plates before this, I have a feeling when I pull this print I'm not going to be touching, and I'll need to adjust my impression screws a little bit, but we'll go ahead and just do it together. So I'm gonna pull the handle down, and I'm gonna go ahead and sort of tighten just my center screw to try to basically apply pressure and get that plate to transfer over. Ouch, I just hit my elbow. Okay, and just in case it's like not transferring, I usually grab a palette knife, or I don't think this will be an issue with this example, but sometimes with male and female plates it's nice to be ready, because you want to make sure that that stays really nice and aligned. And sometimes, things like that masking tape stick a little extra. You just want to make sure that it very like cleanly transfers over, which I mostly did there. Okay, so I'm gonna steal my packing from my letterpress here. So for packing paper for this, you can kind of use whatever you want. I literally just use repurposed paper from things I get in the mail and things I already had on hand. I don't really ever buy packing paper or packing materials at all for my foil dies. I'm just kind of someone that I usually just try to find things that work at home, and that's my method to go with. But like if there are certain things you want to get and use, you can absolutely do that. So I just have different sheets of paper thicknesses. So I have like a typical like cardboard. This is like Letterpress paper that's a little bit thicker, but also really soft. So sometimes when you're using packing, you can play with different thicknesses of paper, but you can also play with different softness or denseness of paper. So sometimes if I'm having trouble with a print job, I might test out like some really soft packing paper versus some really dense packing paper. I've even before used like like a towel or like a really soft piece of fabric as my packing, because I wanted something really soft. So it's definitely something you should experiment with. And I think the biggest like importance for me with my packing paper is having various thicknesses of paper. So I have like really thin and really thick. So I just have these. I'm going to set them aside because right now I'm not going to use any packing. I'm just going to kind of play with that once I get it set up. So follow me or have taken my other foil printing courses, you'll know that I don't use the like paper holder bar thing that comes with your KSF3 press. I haven't used it in years, primarily because I usually use like thinner 16 gauge plates and the bar's too thick. I've also like hit the bar with my die multiple times on accident and ruined my die and had to reorder one that I was just like, this is not worth it anymore for me with what I'm printing. So I make my own little like, basically they're called gauge pins. It's what holds your papers in place that I use to hold my paper. So I have these already made. They're basically foam tape, and then I just add a little like overhang of really any type of paper on it so that it holds the paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my paper in here like how I think basically where I want it to hit. And I'm going to put these just barely on the edges, honestly, because I don't want them to interfere with my design as much, and this design is pretty close to the border, which is just, you know, I like to make things difficult on myself. Okay, so by having those, they kind of hold the paper in place, and I don't need to use that bar. Okay, so I went ahead and reset my impression screws. Again, if you need to familiarize yourself with that, Metallic Elephant has a good video on their YouTube channel that I've linked below. But let's go ahead and see where we're at. I have purposely kept this a little light because I want to show you guys how to add the packing if you want to do that. But I put my paper in, let's go ahead and print and just see where we are. Getting a very faint, but not showing up much at all here. So I'm going to use a somewhat thicker sheet of packing to put in and see what that looks like. This is a piece of cardboard, so it's kind of in the middle. And you don't have to do this. You can go the other route and just tighten your impression screws to get a clearer impression. I just wanted to show you how packing works so that you have that option. Sometimes when you're troubleshooting, it's just nice to know these different routes to go. So I added that sheet just right on the top, and we'll see how that looks. So I don't know if you can see very well here. I'm trying to get it in the right light for you because embossing can be hard to see. I'm getting a pretty clear impression on both of these sides, and then I'm really not getting much on these, which can be a couple of reasons. The first thing I'll do is try to add more packing and just see what that does. But this can be a sign of like your plates having moved or not aligned well. And if I can't get the packing to get it to print, then I might try to realign my plates. But let's go ahead and add another sheet of packing and see. And another thing that it could be is that it could work better for me to not use packing here and to just adjust my impression screws. It's just important to like feel comfortable. This is a reason it's really important to feel comfortable around your pests when it comes to this stuff, because you want to feel like you can have some options with troubleshooting if things aren't looking right, without having to like panic right away that it's not printing as it should. Okay, that's definitely a lot better. Let's see if we can shift with the light. So, looking pretty good. You can even see on the reverse side it's kind of pretty. Trying to think of what I might do to adjust it all now, because honestly I like where it's at. I think it looks pretty good. It could be a little bit crisper. Maybe I'll try another sheet of, like one more thin sheet of packing paper just to see if I can get a little more depth. I'll do this thinner one here. Definitely feels tight. I like that. Yeah, that's looking good. Very nice. I'm liking this a lot. I think this is great and good to go with. For me personally, I would probably stop here. If you wanted to, you could play around with another sheet. The one thing I'm actually just very curious about is what this would look like if we did no packing and just adjusted our impression screws more, just to see if for any reason that yields different results. Let's experiment a little bit and see. So I just took out quite a bit of packing, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust my impression screws to make up for that a little bit. Make them a little tighter. Okay. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh, might have been a little tight. You know, it's about the same. I would say I think the packing one looks a little bit better, and maybe it's just because it's deeper. Yeah, I do think the packing one looks better, just barely. There's a little more dimension and depth in the details. And if for some reason you wanted even more depth, one thing you could do here is stroke your female a little bit more, so that you make sure that you're really getting those details more. You can also just thicken the design overall. It'll read a lot better. So That is how I would do a single level emboss with no heat, just letterpress plates, super cheap, super feasible, accessible, and still yields really pretty results.